Did it die so bad they could taste it?
Well, most of them have paid the price.
Where are they now?
Nobody believes in you. You lost again and again and again. The lights are cut off, but you're still looking at your dream, reviewing it every day and say to yourself, it's not over until I win.
People want to be more like you.
Really?
So, for the fate of humankind, I think it would be great to have more Elon Musks. What do we need to do to become more like Elon?
Honestly, there's a friend of mine who's got a great saying about creating a company, which is trying to build a company and have it succeed is like eating glass and staring into the abyss. So, I mean, what tends to happen is it's sort of quite exciting for the first several months of starting a company. And then reality sets in. Things don't go as well as planned. Customers aren't signing up. The technology or the product isn't working as well as you thought. And then that can sometimes be compounded by a recession. And it can be very, very painful for several years. So I think, frankly, starting a company, I would advise people to have a high pain tolerance.
Mom, do you remember when I was 12 and I created my own video game called Blastar about a spaceship that battles aliens?
I do. I remember they paid you $500. But you were too young to open a bank account, so I had to open one for you. You turned that video game about space into reality.
Unless you consider that our reality might be a video game, and we're all just computer simulations being played by a teenager in another planet.
That's great, Elon.
We got to be excited about the future. We got to do things that make us want to live. You know, it cannot always be about problems every day. I mean, do you want to wake up every morning and everything's just a problem? What inspires you and what makes you excited about the future? There's got to be some things like that. Mistakes that smart engineers make. One of the biggest traps for smart engineers is optimizing a thing that shouldn't exist.
So they'll just sit there and spin on that thing that's just like, why do we even have this in the first place?
Absolutely. When you go through college, you have to answer the question that the professor gives you. You don't get to say, this is the wrong question. But in reality, the first thing you should say is, this question is wrong.
Neil Armstrong, Gene Cernan have both testified against commercial spaceflight and the way that you're developing it.
I was very sad to see that. You guys are heroes of mine, so it's really tough. No, I wish they would come and visit.
That's unreal.
Are you considering stepping down as CEO? Would you transfer, be chairman, and think about being chief product officer? I mean, since CEO title doesn't matter anyway.
I changed my title to Techno King. And by the way, this is a formal SEC filing. I'm legally or whatever Techno King. I just did that as kind of like a joke because just to show that these titles don't mean a lot. You can see what is actually legally necessary if you fill out the form for creating a C corp, and then you see it's president, treasurer, and secretary. They need a director too. But that's basically it. And then all these other, chief, whatever officer are basically just made up.
If you're a new company, I mean, unless it's like some new industry or new market that, if it's an untapped market, then you have more ability to, the standard is lower for your product or service. But if you're entering anything where there's an existing marketplace against large entrenched competitors, then your product or service needs to be much better than theirs. It can't be a little bit better, because then you put yourself in the shoes of the consumer and they say, why would you buy it as a consumer? You're always going to buy the trusted brand unless there's a big difference. So a lot of times, entrepreneur will come up with something which is only slightly better. And it can't just be slightly better. It's got to be a lot better.
When do you get up normally in the morning?
For me, it's usually about 7.
7, okay.
But I go to bed late, so usually I go to bed around 1 a.m. or so.
1 a.m.
Yeah.
And you start the day with a real breakfast, or just with a coffee, or with a water?
That also varies a lot. I think it's probably true that having a good breakfast is a good idea, but usually I don't have time for that. So Sometimes it's made for me, but probably half the time I don't have any breakfast. I just have like coffee or something like that.